Okay. Now, Mario, did you grow up in Nyack? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Mamaroneck, New York.
Okay.
So I was on the other side of the bridge, and I didn't come here till I was 17. So I got my second job I ever got was at Temptations Cafe, and I was probably 17 years old. So it's crazy. So it goes back.
It goes back. So in Mamaroneck, were you there for the whole first 17 years of your life?
Yeah. We were there in Mamaroneck, and actually the draw to Nyack really was, there was like a huge pop punk scene like blowing up in the Northeast, and it was kind of like the late 90s, mid 90s, and Nyack was like a hub. You had Olives that was called Knuckleheads at the time, and they used to have like hardcore Sundays, and then you had the Back Door, the community center that would allow bands on Friday nights. So it was, even from Mamaroneck all the way, Nyack was known as like this hub for the arts and music, so that's what drew us here, yeah.
Cool. So when you were growing up in Mamaroneck, you had brothers and sisters?
Yeah. So I have a brother and a sister, and my sister's a couple years younger than me, and my brother is like 15 years younger than me, and he just graduated and he became a nurse, and he's working this year, which is pretty awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a noble profession.
Oh, 100%. And he's like in that field where he knows how to calm people down. He knows how to make people feel good, and he's really good at his job. And it's just a beautiful thing to see someone who's like in the right, he's like born for it, And so it's real exciting. And my sister's in Georgia, and she's like on a 30-acre farm. They got like 40 chickens. Like her kids are like amazing. She has 3 boys. They drive motorcycles like on the property. And one of the kids is like 4 years old, dude. They have like a 4-year-old size motorcycle like zipping around, So it's really cool how we're all kind of different in our own way,
Terrific.
Yeah.
So, the nurse thing is an incredible profession, and anybody who's in the medical field, I salute you. I know how difficult that must be, because you and I are in the arts, right?
Yeah.
So you make a mistake on stage, it's embarrassing, it's annoying, but nobody died.
Yeah, it's true.
I make a mistake on the stage.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing, it's annoying.
Yeah.
But it just makes me work harder and say, I'm not going to make that mistake the next time. Somebody else makes a mistake, it's very, very different. That's in the medical field. So props to whoever's out there in the medical field. Thank you very much. And mom and dad are there. We're rocking out and having a great time in Mamaroneck.
Yeah. So mom and dad are there. They're actually still there. And believe it or not, my grandparents are still there. So and my grandpa is 93. I saw him on Easter. He's just amazing. My grandma's like 89. And so what's cool is like I'm first generation American, so my parents, they all came from Italy. Like my dad left his whole family in Italy to come here and so like it's so it was a beautiful thing. Is like growing up in Mamaroneck too. There was a nice like big Italian American community, So it was really beautiful, and so I feel very lucky to have that, and so it was a fun time, But Nyack, there was a draw, dude. Like every community has something special, So Nyack, there was just something that was really welcoming to like experiment and be creative and be free, and that was definitely something that magnetized to me,
Cool.
Yeah.
That's terrific. Tremendous. Now, so you had a nice childhood, Italian Americans. FYI, I also have an immigrant father from Ireland, so
Nice.
I'm also first generation here.
Yeah.
My mother's from the United States, but my father's from Ireland.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's,
So do you have family in Ireland? Do you go?
Oh, for fuck's sake, lad, I've got plenty of them. Too many.
Awesome.
My dad's one of 10.
Wow.
And they all have children except maybe one of them. I think they all have children.
Wow.
So then I have all these first cousins and
Yeah.
second cousins. It was nuts going over there every time. I loved it.
And now you have kids, and like I'm sure you'll bring them over. And
I gotta get over there.
Yeah.
I only brought one of them so far.
Yeah.
I gotta bring them all for sure. That's on the bucket list. We'll see.
Yeah.
Gotta make some money first.
But it's when I brought my kids to Italy, it was really cool because they got to meet my grandma, and my dad's mom is still alive too, so she's like hitting 90, and so it was but it's important, right? We got to push and rock these trips and make these memories,
You're so lucky, dude. That's awesome. You get grandparents.
It's fun.
Killing it. Okay, so you land in Nyack. You're 17. you're playing in the pop punk scene, or you just hanging in the pop punk scene?
No, I was just, just like the earlier segment, everything's off key and not a rhythm, and that's what I was doing, just scream core, like fun, like all that, there was just like this beautiful explosion of these like great pop punk bands that were just I don't know, and like we all looked out for each other, like we weren't making money, but it was just there was a few really cool spots locally to play, and Nyack was one of those spots, and I I had my skateboard, and there was a nice little skate scene here too, and and you live in certain places, and you think to yourself like, man, when I grow up, like if I ever have kids, like this is where I want to live,
That's beautiful.
and that was always something that was in the back of my mind with Nyack, so I'm so happy that came through years later. But speaking of which, like even years later, I'm popping into Casa del Sol and all these venues, and who do I see? Like freaking Dylan, like killing it, like freaking, it was insane. Like it was just a beautiful thing. Before I met you, like just watching the crowds that you drew in and the impact you've had on the community. That's why I was so excited to be on this podcast, because it's a real honor to hang out and chill with you.
Same. It's an honor here.
Yeah.
So let's go back. When did, quote unquote, the magic start happening?
Yeah, so you want the story? You want the scoop?
Bring it on!
Speaking of the scoop and ice cream at Temptations Cafe one day.
Give it to me.
I'm sitting outside, like, I don't know what it was, like some type of break, and there's this kid, there's like this stinky looking kid, like with a guitar, and he's got like a dog curled up by the bench right in front of Temptations, and I was like, what? And Nyack is one of those towns, like, everybody, like you know the kids, everybody, and I'm like, who the hell, who's this guy,
Yeah.
And I go up, I talk to him, and he's telling me he's from like Colorado, and I'm like, that's cool, how did you get here? He's like, he hitchhiked, and I was like, hitchhiked? What does that even mean? Like he has no money, but he made it from Colorado to Nyack? That's insane.
Yes.
So that blew my mind. It was like an explosion. Like it was like, I didn't even understand that was a concept that was possible, And so that was like a little seed that was planted. Like I saw that, and I met this guy, and he's like, yeah, I'm sleeping in the gazebo at Memorial Park, and I'm like, wow, just this free-spirited, youthful guy who's, singing, and so that kind of caught fire on me, I had a really good friend, Paulie, that I met at shows, and he was saying he's moving to Philly, I should go with him, and we could start a band, and that's how it started. When I went to Philly, I met other kids that were hitchhiking, hopping trains and doing all this radical stuff, and it was stupid now that I look back, because everyone else was going to school and figuring out their life, But like at the time, it was super magical, because everybody was refusing to grow up, and everyone had a new song that they were working on, and you could tell what the new song was when they were playing it. Like you could feel it, like it was something new, like it didn't exist yet, and now it does, And those kind of things just like kind of fueled the fire for me to travel more and hitchhike and meet other musicians that were doing the same thing, and so that's how I left Nyack. And what's crazy? I was in Nyack for a couple of years. So Nyack is such a beautiful place where like people are so giving. And I'm like, you know what? It's going to be like that wherever I go, like this is awesome, And I go to other spots, and it was never as beautiful as Nyack, And I think that's what kind of set the thorn in my side, like of saying when I grow up, I want to have, come back to Nyack. But so I traveled a lot, for a couple of years. I didn't come back home till I was like 22, 23.
Wow.
Yeah.
But when did you start getting interested in magic?
Right. So I'm gonna tell you this, and you're gonna be like, this is like, you're freaking crazy, right? But I'm just gonna say it. Okay?
Sure.
So like I'm traveling through, hitchhiking with my dog Cloud Kicker, playing guitar, like just with other couple kids, and then you realize like, oh my gosh, there's other people that do this. They've been doing it for 10 more years, and they're like, they're not like what I want to be,
Right,
so that was starting to set in. It was like a maturity thing, like a growing up thing. So long story short, I'm in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Okay, I love antiques, and I always look for antiques in flea markets. I opened the door of an antique shop, and believe it or not, it was a brick and mortar magic shop.
Wow.
And there were magic tricks lined from like, I swear, like the bottom of the floor with shelves all the way up to the ceiling with all these foreign, strange objects. And I was just like so confused. Like I've never seen a magic show my whole life. I bought a couple small tricks for my younger brother that I was going to take when I come home for the holidays. I was going to give him. And then I ended up keeping the tricks for myself, and the rest is history,
Wow.
And I just kept going back to this shop. And And I was really lucky because in that shop, the owners were Jim and Michelle Parks, and the shop was called Hippity Hop Magic Shop. And this guy, you know what? He reminds me of you, Dylan, and I'll tell you why. Because he's like a freaking rock star, you know? He could be anything. And he is in this shop, and he sees people, like young people that have a big desire, they have a big dream, you know?
Yeah.
And so most magicians suck, okay? Because they refuse to give secrets away. They hoard it for themselves, you know?
Sure.
But Jim is the opposite. He points out these people. He's like, he saw how interested I was in magic, how passionate I was. Even though I smelled like crap and like I probably looked like an idiot, you know? He took me in. He taught me the classics of magic, even though I had minimum money.
Mm-hmm.
These classic tricks that if I learned, I could literally make a career out of them. And he spent a year and a half with me, introduced me to the Magic Club, being patient with my sleight of hand. And I noticed while I was learning from him, he would do that to so many other kids.
That's
know?
amazing.
And it reminds me of this shop, you know, when I sit on
man.
the couch,
Thanks,
you know, and
man.
I see these kids coming in, and they're not even coming in for their music lesson. They're there an hour early, you know, just chilling because they just want to be free. You
Isn't
know?
that glorious?
And like to create that environment, it's like you don't have to hitchhike cross country, risk your life for $10 an hour. There's an environment here that you can breathe and be creative, you know? And we, you know, it's an important thing that we do,
yeah.
You know? And like, and it's a very beautiful thing that environment exists here. And that's what existed there at the Hippity Hop Magic Shop. And for that year and a half that I settled there, I learned these tricks. I went to the local club there, and there was a retired firefighter that used to come in the shop. And he's like, all right, Mario, you're in here all the time. He's like, on Friday nights I work at this Chinese restaurant. You could do magic while they're eating. And you're not going to get paid, but they might give you some tips.
There you go.
And I was like, oh my goodness.
You got a gig.
I'm like, this is like, you know. And so like, you know, I'm just nervous. I'm stuffing my pockets. Like I had so much crap, like just every trick possible, you know. And I'm just going through table to table, and I do this magic trick with these little round sponge balls. It's a classic of magic. And this magician named Eugene Berger, he passed away, but he was a genius. And in one of his books, he does this. He has a routine where like you take a little red ball, you put it in someone's hand, and they open their hand up, and there's 2. You take those 2, you put it in their hand, and it multiplies to 4 until there's 14 of them that just explode out of their hands. And it's a really powerful trick. So I learned that. I did that trick, and it worked. And I did it perfectly. Like every sleight was like perfect. And the mom laughed, the kids were laughing, and they gave me a couple dollars. And I framed that dollar that night.
Wow.
And I still have it on my bedside because there was something in my gut that was like, this is important. I don't know why.
Yo, I just got
no,
goosebumps. For real.
But it's true. Like, and I had a cheap picture frame, and I put duct tape on the end because it was like cracked, and I put the dollar in there, and I went to sleep, and I still have that dollar because there are moments in life that you don't know with words, but you know that's like, this is important, you know.
So powerful.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah,
so
crazy.
powerful.
It's crazy. Yeah,
that is crazy.
And it was a long ass road from that dollar to around here. And I think if like some universe guru was like, listen, this is what you're gonna have to do for the next, and I'd be like, no, I'm good, man. I'm just gonna go to college.
Yeah.
but like, I'm so glad. You know, I climbed, you know, you just keep pushing forward, you know.
You don't stop.
Yeah, you don't stop.
You just don't.
Yeah.
You never know. You never know. I don't know. I feel like a lifer as a musician, and you must be a lifer as a magician.
100%.
You just can't stop. I won't stop.
No, but I mean, that's why you're so good at what you do.
Well, thanks.
And that's why you impact these kids.
What about you and impacting
no, same
kids?
thing.
Forget about me, man.
No, but it's true. It's and the reason why it works is because it's all that we know, and it's because we believe in it so much more than our freaking bodies. Like it's like, you know, it's
intangible. You can't describe it. Yeah. You can't describe the feeling. I've been having a little, you know, I'm sure you get this too, but it may be in a different way. But when you crush and you play a great gig, you give a great performance, it's flawless, the audience loves it. Yeah. You're like, oh my God, the adrenaline is just insane. Yeah. And then the next day you might have to go to like an Easter gathering.
Oh man, I can
Sorry,
tell you
Gilday
stories.
family and Kelehan family, but
I can tell you stories.
I'm hanging out at this gathering over the weekend, and I'm like, like all I wanted to do was be back on stage.
Yeah.
And all I wanted to do was just go back to crushing that room.
Yeah.
Played the Turning Point. Dude, it was awesome. You should do a show there. I know you probably don't need to, but it's fun. It's a fun.
Turning Point's like freaking historic.
It's
and
awesome.
So much.
You would crush there.
No, it's a beautiful space. It's funny you say that about that because it's something that I think no matter what level you are professionally, you have that always.
Yeah.
You do.
You crush.
And where like you crush and then the next day you have some gig where you're just like, I was just here, you know, and now, so I'll give you an example. Lincoln Center. Lincoln Center has a school series, you know, and I was really lucky. One season I got on that school series, and they like bring in like a whole staff. They set up the stage for there's someone like asking if you want coffee every 10 minutes. Like it's like, you know, it's just amazing. Like we rocking these shows. I finished the Lincoln Center school series, and I'm like, I'm just so high, you know.
Yeah.
And then the first gig that I have after the series is a farmer's market in upstate New York. And they had a little tent that was all full of mud. And this lady is just like, set up your table there.
Oh, God.
And I'm setting up, and I remember the drum stand, like, just, you know, squishing into the dirt.
Oh.
And I was like, I was just at Lincoln Center School Series.
Like, what the hell is this?
And I remember doing the linking rings, and there was like 3 people.
Yeah.
You know, because it was like rainy and it was a farm.
Yeah.
And it you know, it breaks you, you know?
Yeah.
But it's healthy.
It is.
Because we're not supposed to feel that.
Yeah.
All the time. Because it's not fair to the rest of the world. Like, to always, you know, it's like we need to be humble to realize, like, that life is up and down. You know? I don't know. It's important. It's healthy. That's what I say. But it sucks.
It sucks. Oh, I got to do the dishes? Are you kidding me? You kidding? Do you know who I am?
So I could totally feel that. And I think as I get older, I just realized meeting people that are on all levels of success in different mediums, that they all have things that they have to do where it's not going to be the top gig, you know?
No.
And I think that's the secret of being successful at something, is putting your head down and doing those gigs and doing that work. And I think that's part of it, because a lot of people, listen, I heard this crazy statement: be passionate about your dreams, but flexible about the details of your dreams, you know? So if like your dream is to do Carnegie Hall, and you spend your life saying, I'm not doing that gig, that's not Carnegie Hall, I'm not doing that gig, that's not Carnegie Hall, you'll never get there.
Yeah.
You know? But if you're flexible about the dream and saying, I love magic so much, I just want to be part of the family of magic, I don't care what level I'm at, now all of a sudden the roads are opening, you know? Now all of a sudden these doors are going to happen that you don't realize are going to be stepping stones that lead you to something bigger. You know,
you're 100% right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you have to have that flexibility.
Sure.
And, it's an interesting thing.
Yeah, for me, it's like quote unquote covers.
Right.
I mean, when you learn a trick,
yeah,
it's kind of a cover.
Oh yeah.
But when you make up your own robot magic,
yes,
that's the individual creativity that is Mario.
Right. And if they're singing the words from that robot magic, like that's the greatest feeling in the world, dude. You know.
Let's go.
But yeah,
Let's
so like
go.
I just love the idea of how these things can relate. It's really cool.
Dude, you're killing it right now. So this is awesome. I love this story, and I totally relate to you. This is so much fun. Holy shit. So you get your okay, you said it was an extremely long road from Michigan to where you are now.
That's right.
Which is still, you know, you're crushing it. You're still grinding.
Yeah.
You're still going to do school visits.
That's right.
You're still going to do whatever it takes, and you're
right.
going to take whatever gig. Just like me. I've been through whatever. I still take the Monday night gig at the pizza place.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm still going to take it.
You have to work.
You got to
work. And like if you want, 100%.
So,
100%.
Next step from there, like I know you and your wife are kind of your business partners, essentially.
That's right. So 17 years ago, when I came home from Michigan, like and I met Katie, we made a promise one September to quit our day jobs. And it was really scary. We had like 3 roommates, and that's how it started. So Katie, like I wouldn't exist without Katie, because she's like so passionate about social media and marketing and business, you know? And so she's, you know, so we do this together. And this is our 18th year, I think, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel really lucky.
And you must be so like, not just attached financially through your children, just like to have your professions attached
Yeah.
That's so lucky.
Yeah.
My wife and I did that for a while. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I want to do it again somehow. We were just talking about it the other night.
That's awesome.
How can we create another small business? And my ideas were not what she had.
But organically, and you'll have the season, you know?
I was like, let's make soap a la Fight Club, you know?
I love it.
And then I sent her the scene where they went, anyway. So this is not about me, Dylan. This is not about me. This is about Mario.
I love this.
This is really fun. So Mario, now, here you are, you and Katie, you make this promise to each other. You're going to quit your day jobs.
Yeah.
What's step one from there?
Yeah, so when I came back from Michigan, what is someone who wants to be a magician, what is their pinnacle dream, right? You want to be like David Blaine, you want to be like Copperfield, you want to be like, these, so a kid's birthday party, I'm not doing that. Right. Are you kidding me? No way,
Yeah.
So this is your mentality, because you go to these magic conventions and no one talks about kids' birthdays or anything like that because it's so embarrassing. It's like I do corporate gigs, Google, Apple, all these things. So all of a sudden, look, remember how I said my dad was first generation American I am, all this stuff? Yeah. My biggest dream, bigger than magic in my 20s, was I just want to do what I love for a living. That was it. So when I met Katie, I didn't even tell her I did magic until 3 months of dating. Okay? So, because I was in this band, I was the Bronx is burning, we're this hardcore band, we're going to see. And then on the weekends, this agency called Philip and Henry, they hired me for kids' birthday parties, and I would do magic Saturday and Sunday for extra money. And one of those times, Katie came with me because she just happened to be in town and whatever. And then she shook my shoulder. She's like, "What are you doing? When you perform in front of kids, you're like a rock star, And I'm like, no, I want to be like David Blaine. You don't understand. This is not what I, And so and she's like, no, whatever. And what happened was, Katie was getting frustrated because they take 60 to 70% of each check that you make from these private parties. The agency, it was heavy. It was a lot. And she was getting frustrated. She said, I can do that. I'm going to book the shows, So that's how the ball started rolling for that September. She takes it. We start calling schools, emailing everyone, trying to get all this stuff. And it sucked. Yeah. For 2 years, it freaking sucked. Because everything was a kid show, Yeah. And I had this vision in my head. Remember, be passionate about your dreams, flexible with the details of those dreams, Yeah. I had this vision in my head. But Katie's, making me do it, Because, and then it's I want to do what I love for a living. And I'm slowly paying my rent, so that's important too, Sure. I'm in that tree of magic where I said I love magic so much, but still it sucks. So 2 years go by, right? 2 years of me doing these kids' parties. And then one show I just realized the audience creates the performer, we can only do so much. If you want to be good at something in front of an audience, you have to listen to them, Yeah. And there's a surrender there, And anyway, what I was just trying to say was it just hit me. I was having fun when I do kids' birthday parties. Sure. Sure. Because it was because I felt safe. I didn't feel scared when I was on stage. And I would drop stuff, but it was part of my character. All the nerves were just gone. And I would do these open mics in Times Square for magic for all adult audiences, and I sucked. Everything I did. Yeah, it was terrible. And I just kept doing the gig, even though I sucked. And I just kept thinking I would just get better. And then I do these kid shows and I'm not even working. I'm just being myself and they're laughing. And so anyway, what I'm trying to say is I surrendered and I stopped doing this stuff for adults and I just did it all for kids. And I realized the whole reason why I'm alive is to make kids laugh, Wow. And the more I thought about that, the more my life changed, But I had to let go of all these ideas of what I think I needed to be, you know? Because the idea of a kid's birthday party or something like that is so humiliating, when you're going to get a real job kind of thing. But meanwhile, those are the shows that have gotten me to where I'm here now. You know? So that's what I'm saying about that gut feeling thing. Yeah. It's a lonely road, Yeah. Because it has to be, because then when you earn it, it feels so much greater.
Glorious. I love the story. I love this. This is great. And okay, so now you you relinquish. You just say, okay, I can't control this.
Right.
I have to just enjoy this no matter what, because it's fun no matter what.
That's right.
I mean, I have these conversations all the time with my compatriots and friends and whatnot, and a lot of them don't understand what you understand. such an important understanding is, look, what are you really doing this for? Are you doing this for you, or are you doing this for the love of something? Because if you're doing it for you and you're so freaking good and you're so amazing at whatever, I think you need to check yourself for a second, because it's not about you. It's not. It's about who your audience is. Know your audience is the best advice you can give and get. Yeah, another one was be able to be identified by your silhouette.
I love that.
There we go.
I love that.
There we go.
But like what you're tapping into is so important.
Yeah.
Because it's something I talk about in my lecture to magicians, because we do a lot of lectures, is who are you and why are you here?
Right.
The more you can identify those two questions when you stand on stage, the stronger your show is going to be, and the more you're going to be a gift to the world, Yes. So like you said, if you're doing it for me, like you're going to suck.
Yeah.
And no one's going to care.
No.
Because at the end of the day, there's millions of musicians that kick ass, but there's only a few that makes a living out of it. Same with magic. There's so many. So like you have to reach a breaking point where you just care so much you don't care where the dice rolls to. You just want to be part of the family.
Yeah.
And if that means you do kids' birthday parties the rest of your life, you have to be at that point where you're like, that's fine.
Yep.
Because this is who I am. But it sucks and it's hard at sometimes. But like I feel like that's the that there is a surrender.
Right.
There's a surrender.
You can't hit Control-Alt-Delete.
Yeah.
You can't just close. The operating system is still going to be running.
That's right.
You're not going to be able to bail.
Yeah.
Anyway, so fuck yes. I love this story. I love feeling, attached to you. Neil Berg was here. Do you know Neil Berg? He's not famous. He's a wonderful, he is famous in his circles. He's a freaking fantastic musician. And he was here literally last night.
Awesome.
And he was saying along the same lines. It's just, keep going. You're a lifer. Give out good advice. Be kind. But you can't just, and then he gives me the best advice I've ever gotten so far as my on-stage presence. He says, be yourself 100%, but add 5%. And whatever that means to you,
that's so good.
Take it. So I'm telling all the little kids
good.
this. Anyway.
So good. I love that. And it's funny because I saw my brother over Easter. We went to get some pizza, and he's working like in a radiology department where it's pretty intense stuff. Like he has to put stuff in. But he was talking about how there was a patient that none of the nurses could get an IV in the vein. Mm-hmm. And they all were doing it, even like older nurses, And so my brother was like, let me do it, man. Let me do it. Let me get a shot. I can do it.
A literal shot.
Yeah, right. And the way, how I heard it, I remember it. He went in and he nailed it. He got the IV, like, boom. And everyone was like, oh my gosh. And the main doctor there was like, and Steve was like, I did it. Like, I'm the, they're like, everyone's like, Steven's the best. Steven's the best, And then the doctor looked at him and said, like, because Steven is, like, he's so good at what he does, and he constantly gets these amazing notes from patients and stuff. But what the doctor said was like, yes, Steven, like, you're really good at what you do, and there's a lot of people that are really great, but you're a good person, and that's what makes you the best, And I think that's the key. Like, we can all get a physical talent where we can master something, but, like, that extra 5% is like our attitude, That extra 5% is like when you walk into the room and if someone doesn't say hi to you the right way, are you gonna like completely ruin the show? Are you gonna like, what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's really, it comes down to those little things because people want to work with people they enjoy working with at the end of the day.
For sure.
Yeah.
Neil said the same thing.
Did he?
He said the same thing. He said, like, let's say there's somebody who's 100% talented, and there's somebody else who's in the same major leagues as them, but they're 95% talented. The 100% talented is an asshole. The 95% is cool. He's going 95% every day of the week.
That's right.
Hey.
And we're not saying, like, oh, you got to be a good person. That's it. Like, you got to master what you're doing. Like right now, if you see my dining room, I have, like, 40 servo motors with 3D printed parts trying to attack this magic trick. And like, I'm sitting there pulling my hair out and sleeping barely because like, I'm just trying to problem solve this trick that I have. And like, you have to always constantly up it every year. Like, what are you going to do new? Like, what are the things that are going to drive you and how do you get to them,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So terrific. So Katie talks you into finally accepting kids is magic.
Yep. Children and family shows.
Great.
Yeah, doing family stuff.
So now fast forward us through just like parties and kids and stuff. How do you get to the point where you're touring?
Right. So we did 12 years of private parties where Katie literally would drive me to Brooklyn. I'd run up a 6-floor walk up, do a kids party, pack in, go in. So sometimes I had my skateboard where I'm like skateboarding, like, down St. Mark's, like going to an apartment, jumping in, doing shows. And it was really beautiful. Like I had everything within a suitcase and a side bag. It was really fun. But, we plateau in life,
Yeah.
And it's funny, I just got back from Australia because we did a 5-week tour for the Adelaide Fringe Festival. It was awesome.
Yeah, you did.
And it was awesome. But the reason I bring it up is because I finally met koala bears, right? And I was sitting there and I did the koala experience, we're like at the zoo with my son and the trainer is talking about how like the koalas, like, they get real pissed because there's many different kinds of eucalyptus leaves. So they can't just eat one leaf, and then they get frustrated. They start pushing them away. And that's when they move from one tree to the other. And I was like, damn, even koala bears, like, they need to change things up, And I was just, anyway, now I lost my train of thought. I had to talk a lot. No, but what were we getting? What was I talking about before?
The question was how we got from going from the parties and
yeah, that's right. Sorry. So thank you for bringing me back because I was just in the koala world right now.
I want to go there. Eucalyptus sounds like it rules.
But the idea of what I'm trying to say is after 12 years, it's like the koala with the eucalyptus leaves. Like they get old. Like I need something new, because what's happening is my show's starting to suck. All my jokes are going over the kids' heads. And I'm not happy when I get back to the car, And there's a reason because I want something different, So what we started doing was like we're planning out how do we evolve the show where we go from a private party to like you said, touring. So Katie's so good, man. She's like, you know what? Let's rent a space in Manhattan and just do like a once a month public show and we'll sell tickets. So we found this place called Space on White. It was downtown. It was just a long time ago, but it was cheaper and and we sold tickets. And now I'm doing that same private party show, but I'm doing it in a public space for 50 people.
Nice.
And so now people are coming just to see me instead of me going to a private event and no one knows who I am. Yeah. And so we're pitching with emails and character Mario builds. I was still teasing little maker stuff and that was kind of how the ball just started rolling slowly,
Yeah.
And then what happens is, well, this magician does the same trick as Mario, and this magician does the same thing. Like we're all doing the same tricks, right? Mm-hmm. And so you want to know the truth? I did I did an elementary school in Dobbs Ferry, I think. I still remember the school. It was a public show. They came to see me, and I did the rings and all these tricks. And I overheard a dad talking to his wife, saying, "That was Mario? That's what we paid money to see."
Whoa.
And it broke me,
Whoa.
Yeah, it broke me. And all my robotics were always separate from my magic. I always loved building drawing machines and all this stuff. And that was the first time in my life, that month, where I took every single talent I've ever learned since I was a kid and I dumped it on the table into my show, Because I was like, I can't handle this. Like, and that's when I built my first robot magic trick,
Which was the first?
Which is the thing that I did on the Tonight Show with the banners that fall,
oh.
And then the signs fall, and I run and pick them up, and then another sign falls. There's like 17 servos in that suitcase to make all that fall, like all that slapstick stuff. But that's when I built that. And when I did that, that was my opening. Now all of a sudden, people remember a little more. Oh yeah, that's the guy with the crazy cardboard signs. He's like, punk kid, ripped up jeans, doing cardboard magic with robots, And that kind of like organically. Then I was like, man, I need another robot thing in my show, And I started taking these core principles. Isn't it like that with songwriting? Like if you want to learn to write a song, don't you learn like a real classic song, like a famous song, like from the Beatles or something? You learn song structure from that.
Sure, very similar.
And then you understand verse, chorus, and
once you can learn the ingredients, you learn how to cook.
Yes, exactly. So it's like that with music. Same thing with magic.
Yeah,
there are core routines that have the built-in jokes and magic and comedy in there that like everyone around the world are performing them. Magicians are. But if you could take those ingredients and put a robot in there, all of a sudden it becomes new.
Right.
It's like
you got a new way to present.
Yes,
an idea.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's like Bob Dylan, putting on the distortion guitar and pissing everyone off. Judas.
Yeah.
It's like that's how we. So it was like that kind of moment for me. And what was happening was, the more unique the show becomes, the more opportunity we can get to have public shows where people take a chance on it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then so a public show, like 50 people, Dobbs Ferry gig.
Yeah.
When does it become like NAC Center, 200 people?
Right. So we started with that. And then all of a sudden we're like, let's do theaters. Of course, we want to do theaters. We're on tour, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's so easy. And then, like, we find out, like, you pitch to these theaters, no one answers your emails. Nobody cares. You realize there's these things called, like, APAP and all these like, events that you go to pitch your theater show in. You pay like $5,000 for a table, and you sit there all day in hopes that these presenters see your show. But everything I've done in my life is, like, hitchhiking and just doing, just off the wall crap, So... Katie, again, just such a genius. She's like, you know what, man? Let's take a credit card. Let's rent the freaking theater. And then I'm going to just try to sell tickets. So we spent, like, I remember, like, we did a theater in Georgia or something. It was like $2,000. And we just went in debt. And she hustled trying to get people to fill this seat. It was like a 250 seat, whatever. Mm-hmm. And what happened was we did the show. We got people in there. And the theater director happened to be in the show, sitting there, and he saw it, and he's like, "Oh, that was awesome." He said, "Why don't you guys come back next year? We'll do a split, so I don't have to pay that $2,000." And I was like, "Oh my god!"
And he'll promote it.
Yeah, so we do it together, Yeah. And now all of a sudden, I don't have to pay that front. No. And now we're gonna do a split, whether it's 60-40, whatever. So now there's one dot on the map, So and then what happens is. What we do now is like, as we learned, it was like, my show is such a school assembly naturally, so it's for kids and family. And so we would do schools in the middle of the week, and then we would do whatever local theater was around that area of schools that we did. And then, so that's how it kind of started,
Brilliant. Yeah. And then the people that saw you at the school might go around and say, "Wow, you got to check out this amazing magician."
The kids go tell their parents. Yeah.
And they're like, "Let's go. I didn't have anything going on this weekend."
That's right.
Brilliant.
So that's like the simplistic version. Obviously it's a huge hustle. Like, we were in Australia for 5 weeks for the Adelaide Fringe, and we're out there handing flyers. I made like a cardboard robot out of Amazon boxes trying to get people's attention, because nobody knows who we are there, Yeah. But that's part of the fun, is like the challenge, and so, like, and what we realize now is like, oh my goodness, there's festivals, fringe festivals, and all these theater directors from around the world, like these presenters, they come in to shop shows. I didn't know that, Yeah. So we did Edinburgh Fringe this year, which is the biggest, like, theater festival in the world. I mean, there was 3,500 some odd shows.
Wow.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Like, every corner, there's a space where someone's performing a show and they're trying to hand you a flyer to come see their show, So, but anyway, so that's kind of like where we're at now. Is like, we did these 2 big fringe festivals, and hopefully people love the show enough that we can navigate a tour, there in another country,
Sick.
Yeah,
Sick.
yeah.
So, okay. Now, feather on the old cap. We got to talk about that. You had mentioned to me briefly the other day while you were hanging out here, which was awesome. By the way, you're always welcome to kids,
I love
too.
Chilling there.
It's the best. It's the best.
Amazing.
I like when sometimes I just go and sit on the couch rather than behind the desk, so I can get the feel of what it's like.
It's amazing. The couches, they got the guitars all around the wall, and then you got, like Jeff Spindel's freaking, I call him like the Buddha of Nyack. Like, he always has a good word to everyone he meets, bless him. It's just, you guys have a great system here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just said to Caroline, just said to her, man, we're actually a really great team.
Dude, Caroline's amazing. Like, right when we come in, always welcoming. Like, this is the kind of stuff that makes it fun, that people want to come back to. And it's the same thing with my show. It's like every detail when they come in, like how, dude, you know how many clown noses I had to order for Adelaide Fringe? 12,500 clown noses. Because
how the hell did you get them there?
Every show we throw them out.
How did you get them there?
We had to order them, and then they shipped. So we are part of this amazing
clown nose manufacturing company.
Check this out. So what's really cool, the way we were in Australia is because of this amazing management team, Nick Clark Management. They picked us up, so we're under their wings. And so his brother, Nick Clark's brother, he messaged and said, "Can Mario send a couple shipments before the Adelaide Fringe?" So his brother, of course, was like, "Yeah, of course, it's fine." But he didn't know there was 12,500 condos coming. And so his living room was like 40 bags of noses. And I felt so bad because we didn't relay the whole information.
Right. It wasn't on you.
No, it was
Nick.
But then the poor guy, Nick's brother, came to see the show. And he was such a good soul. But it was just a really fun laugh. But the reason why I bring it up is because like the environment you have here.
Yeah.
You know, the second you walk inside, you know, you feel welcome. You feel awesome. You know, you people talk to you like they joke with you. Like you just don't feel threatened in any way. And it's the same thing with the show. Like I order those noses and it's on my money. Like you know, sometimes we lose money because I'm ordering, but everyone leaves with the clown nose, you know, and the kids leave with it. And we get pictures of like, you know, parents that have a purse full of noses because their kids just scooped them up. And it's just that it's like, it's so important to like get every part of that environment covered.
Sure.
With your message, you know?
Absolutely. That's beautiful. Beautiful. So you're sitting on my couch and you're talking and we try to figure out how the heck did you end up on the Jimmy Fallon show? And you said something like, oh, well, you know, I met him in some other circumstances and we always tried to make it happen. And then he hit you up and got you onto the show. Is that right?
Yeah. So, yes. Well, yeah. I mean, so when we did 12 years of private parties, you know, there's so, like, the beautiful thing about, you know, magic with kids and you know, is that kids grow up and then there's a new audience, you know, and there's always this opportunity to make money. But, so Jimmy saw my show, you know.
Just by chance.
Yep, just by chance. And there was only like 5 kids and 2 of them happened to be his.
Wow, that's fun.
And so what happened was, it was just, these kids were so awesome. They're just like laughing and giggling, and that's how the ball started rolling. And then like before the pandemic, they reached out and said that they would like to put me on, and I was so excited. Like, and then the pandemic happened, and I can't tell you how much that stung. Like for a year and a half, 2 years, I just thought they forgot about me, you know. And but then we had the Off-Broadway run, and 2 of the producers came to see the show, and both those producers had kids, you know, and they really loved it. And then they were like, you got 4 days, you want to be on? And I'm like, oh my God, you know? So it was really cool, you know? And it was, it's the same thing like we're talking about here. Like, same with Jimmy, it's the same thing. Like, he just has that heart, you know, that you know is real and authentic when you see him and you talk to him. And like the fact that he remembered me from all those years and pushed.
So cool.
And then the fact that they're like, pushed to have kids on the Tonight Show. 14 kids on stage at a late night show that's for all adults, like pushing to make it so that so it would fit my environment, that what I'm good at, you know, is with kids, you know. So that's what hits me the hardest. I just feel very grateful for Jimmy, you know.
Was that your idea?
Was that my idea? Yeah, well, we that was what we were hoping. Yeah. It was like, because I do stuff for kids more than adults, and you know, it's family audience, and so like we were hoping, and they were like right away, we're like, you know, they worked it out, and I, you know, but like that kind of stuff, that's a big mountain. Like the fact that they did that so quick and we're like on it is a beautiful thing. Because there's not many children's magicians that ever been on the Tonight Show. So like, you know, like,
if any.
So the fact that that they did that, and but yeah, so it was a really special night, you know. So like, next year you have to come see the show.
I would love to.
Yeah.
We were very close to, family and I, we were very close to, and then we were like, should we do this getaway we were going to do, or should we go see Mario? And we chose.
Self-care is so important.
I had to go for it. But
yeah.
I would love to.
No, definitely. And
thank you. And let me ask you one more question about the Tonight Show. How do you feel like it all went for you?
it was
performance,
like a
and then how did you feel before, after?
Yeah. No, it was very surreal, you know, because on that stage, you know, I'm looking down at the floor and I see the little marker, and I'm like, man, like my biggest heroes like stood on this stage, you know, like George Carl and like just these greats, you know, that I admire so much. So like it was really, you know, it was really fun. I mean, I don't know, like it's surreal, you know, it was hard. It was a beautiful thing, and it was fun because when the kids sat down, you know, I could tell like they're so nervous, you know, because like I'm sure like their parents and they're in the back, and like it's a big thing for everybody, you know. So it was just so fun to like get them to just really like get out of their skin, you know, like just mess with them and like, oh, this is gonna be amazing, you know, like and,
be you be you. So
that was my favorite part of the whole thing, was just like allowing the kids to be free and pull the string and yell and scream, and so that was really fun. And then it was just fun to like just to. It felt like a dream, You just dream like New York City, like 30 Rock, and it's just like insane.
Of course, it is.
It's just so it was just, and it was just a beautiful ending to the Off-Broadway show. It just sometimes in life you get lucky and you get validated for what you do, and you tuck it deep inside your heart and you just keep it, and you just it was just one of those moments that was really fun. Yeah,
that's glorious. I love the way you said that. That's a great little pin in the end of the story there. But before we get to there, so what's next for you? What's your plans you go from a wandering gypsy type punk rocker guy to family man, party animal, but kids party animal, magician, to theaters, to traveling the world, Scotland, Australia, all with your family, by the way.
Yeah.
Your family's on the road with you. It's an important detail we didn't really go into.
Yeah, we made a promise when we had kids to Katie and I that said no matter what we do, that we do it together, And so our kids are homeschooled with us. And look, it's hard sometimes, But the parts that are beautiful are like unforgettable. So we push through whatever town we're in. We try to eat the local food to the community that we're in. We learn about the culture there, and then we make sure that we're home now that they're older. My daughter's 12, my son's 9. So we come home we try to come home every 5 weeks just for like a week or two so they can see their friends. But with technology, it's amazing. Like FaceTiming their friends, and now Bear's got this VR like MetaQuest thing. And MetaQuest headset, so he can VR like his friends in Nyack that have a VR headset, and they're like doing stuff together in VR. Crazy. I mean, just think about when I grew up, like just that concept is just pretty amazing. So
yeah, like where are my friends? Oh, I'll look for their bikes.
right. So it's a different generation,
Yeah.
But yeah. So it's been fun. Yeah.
Cool. So what's future plans? What are you guys doing?
So future plans are. We're building on the show. We are, we feel really lucky that we're going to hopefully come back to New York City for October for the holiday season again. To do Off-Broadway.
Let's go.
So excited about that. And then we are, the whole reason why we did Adelaide Fringe was to hopefully do a tour in Australia next year. So that's the big dream, to do that. And then hopefully Europe, like it'd be a really big dream to do like the West End, like in London, and all these things that you dream about, you don't, like, I don't even like talking about them because it's like, I feel like it's just like, you have it in the back of your head and you just work silently. And if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't,
You don't want to say anything until it's real.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like Neil just got My Cousin Vinny.
Uh-huh.
He's doing the music for My Cousin Vinny, the Broadway musical.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so he was like, well, I haven't told anybody yet, but I'm going to tell you. And I was like, because no one's going to watch.
I love it.
But anyway, so that's amazing. I love it. You're the man, Mario.
Oh, thanks for having me, man.
You're the man. Awesome. Where can we find your stuff?
Yeah, so if you type in Mario the Magician on any of the socials, MarioTheMagician.com, you can see our upcoming tour dates. We'll be at the Dynasty Typewriter in Los Angeles in a couple weeks. We'll be in Sonoma County, California in a couple weeks. We're leaving next week, so look out for dates. If you're in the California area, we're hitting up a couple theaters up there. And yeah, Dylan, this has been an honor, dude. I love seeing you kill it on stage, and this has just been so fun that I get to actually chill with you, man. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's my honor too, man. This is my favorite part about doing this. It's all first and foremost and third most. Do I want to sit down and talk to this person and learn about this person and hang out with this person? And if I can say yes to those things, then this is why we're doing it. It's got to be fun.
Yeah.
Always. Everything has to be fun, but you can't just have this tunnel vision of what your dream is. You have to adapt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Make it happen.
Yeah, it's true.
Let's go, baby. Thanks again, Mario. Mario, the Maker Magician. You can find him on YouTube. I saw the Jimmy Fallon performance. You can find him online, and you can probably find him at a theater near you over the next few years. Thanks again, and thanks again to the Rock Shop in Nyack, and thank you to whatever powers that be that make us do what we do and how make us feel what we feel, and thank you to Nyack. Bye, everybody.